Back at Urban Hawker, one of my favorite places in New York City, and this time I get to interview the man behind it all, the myth, the legend, KFC. This is KF Seetoh. Hi.
Hi. So I'm KF Seetoh.
You are.
I am.
You are him.
And I gave birth to this place.
And well, we also have Chris, Chef Chris from Walk and Staple. So it's like a legend sandwich right now. I get to be between two of these guys. I need to hear your whole story.
Biden.
You are a food critic, a consultant, an entrepreneur, a champion of hawker stalls in Singapore. Tell me how Urban Hawker came to be.
She Googled me, huh?
I do my research.
Okay. Hey, KF Seetoh was born a natural storyteller, spent time as a photographer, journalist, blah blah, taking pictures. And one fine day I said the best story to tell in the world is about food, because food tells me about you.
Agreed.
Where you come from and how delicious this lovely creature is. So
That's the best way to learn about people.
And I find out more about my country, my people, about the world through eating. I eat anything I can't pronounce, anything I've never seen before, and it's nice. So, I went into the world of heritage street food, or what I call hawker food, around the world, and it was wonderful. I did TV shows, I did food guides, I do events, I do blah blah blah, and I started saying, hey, why don't I use my voice to facilitate and give humble street food vendors around the world platforms and opportunities to move them from street market to world market. So some of these hawker street food vendors in Singapore today, they're in Manhattan.
I mean, what a dream, right?
It
and
is.
You brought them all together.
I brought Chris. Chris is the son of a legend, Mr. Hui. His daddy, they're originally from China, and they came to Singapore, 4 good friends. They came to Singapore, little kids, they cooked, they rocked, they created some stunning icons that Singapore now call national dishes. One is our chili crabs. Did you try it?
I'm obsessed with Chris's chili crab.
It's the messiest dish you must eat.
Yes.
And sauce in there, it's...
Okay, so clearly you're obsessed with food just as much or maybe more than I am. It's my life.
We're the
so
same
let's take a huge step back. When did you figure out that you loved food so much? How old were you?
So I left I didn't really eat. I left my full-time job as a photojournalist in the Singapore newspaper, and then I moved to do professional photography, the kind of stuff you don't wake up for unless it's a few $1,000s a day. And after a while I said, it's the same old thing, good money, but I want to do something with food. And I said, well, look at what Japanese the reputation Japanese having for their food, even the Thais and the Vietnamese. But we got stunning, I travel a lot, and I said, hey, I got stunners in my country too.
Yes.
And I started a humble little food guide in 1997.
1997.
Sold it in 1998 by, first edition, went up.
Singapore street food.
Where hawker food, we call them. We are the best little vendors. We have 26,000, about 26,000 street food vendors, hawker food vendors in Singapore. My guide then could only list about 700 of the best. And then we went on 10 editions later, 11 editions later, we're still around. But now we've inked it online. I'll give you the address, you can see it here. Yeah, you put it here, right?
So this food guide...
And it's free.
So this food guide still exists?
It still exists. Ebook Makan Sutra, MAKAN-SUTRA. We'll put a link for you.
Amazing.
And we've got videos, because I just want to tell stories.
Have the food guide. And then when did you decide, I need to bring the food of Singapore to the United States and build this?
So when I started the food guide, fresh off my professional photographer's gig, and the food guide went to #1 in the sales, and I said, oh gosh, what did I stumble upon? There was no role model, no business model in this space. Who does what with a heritage dish? And I said, you know, what am I going to do? You know, I'm going to continue photography. I'm going to continue this brand new thing that I stumbled upon. And then it was about then I got married, and somebody heard me spoke drunk at my wedding. I said, you should be on TV. The next thing you know, a TV show was born, and oh, that TV show went all the way to #1, and then Discovery picked it up, the Asian Food Channel picked it up. I was featured. I mean, I worked very closely with Bourdain. Every time I'm here, every time I'm there, Bourdain. I'm always in with Bourdain and Netflix.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that for a second, because you are a big TV food personality, and you did have a relationship with Anthony Bourdain. How did you meet him?
So he called me in the year 2000 when my brand, my face, my name was just through the stratosphere. And his agent said, oh, you know, Mr. Bourdain is filming in Singapore, and you can't leave Singapore without having you on the show.
Absolutely, because you are the expert.
Yeah, sure. What do you want to eat? I'll decide later, because I'm filming, I'll see where I am. So I said, yeah, sure, I'll meet him. And I told my wife, who the hell is Bourdain?
I love that you didn't know who he was.
Yeah, I was more famous than him than once upon a time.
That's amazing.
He knew about me, I didn't know about him. So I said, we met that evening, and I said, I feel like eating this very expensive crab noodle in the red light district.
Oh, I'm sure he was so up for that.
I didn't know who he was. I didn't know he had the affinity for such things, so I just ran and ordered. And he was there ahead of time, and he was like a little kid in Toys R Us looking at the live fishes at the tanks, the crabs, the frogs, the prawns, all live. He was gushing, and we hit off. And first thing he met me, he shook my hand, he flipped. He did his homework just like you. Flipped to my food guide, and he circled this line in my forward, in my food guide that said, food on screen, on print is an oxymoron. Food has got to be in your face, domesticated.
That's a great line.
Hey buddy, I agree with you, sign there. You know, he signed my book, I signed his book, or each other's book, and we had a great meal. Two of us ate $700 in this rundown little seafood restaurant in the heart of the red light district.
And then a beautiful friendship was born.
And yeah, it was his show. He was gushing, especially when the noodle came out. And then he drank his beer and he said, you know, after a dish like this, I would be happy if the world ended right now. To that effect, you know. Then he yanked the phone, he yanked the mic to me. And I was like, hey, it's not my show, it's your show. You know? And then I was like halfway with a pincer in my mouth. And I turned to Tony instead of the camera. I said, Tony, why do you talk when there's so much food on the table? My mother always said, when there's food on the table, you eat first. Because you don't know if your next meal or where your next meal is coming from. He was so... We hit off, we became best friends after that. He turned that conversation into a little chapter in his book called The Nasty Bits.
I remember reading that. And so he had a hand in you opening this, correct?
He came to my event called the World Street Food Congress because I told him, Tony, we have been taking all these stories, wealth of stories from all these street food vendors around the world. What are you giving back in return? They've made you a multi-millionaire.
Yeah.
So I said, I want you to come to my event and talk them up. We need a platform to support the world's humble, talented street food vendors and hawkers. Yeah, came in a heartbeat. He came, and he saw that I flew in 50 vendors from around the world. Some don't even speak English, have never even flown in a plane before, and they did their thing in Singapore. And Tony said, I want you to build my... I always try to mind him. I want you to build my Bourdain Hawkers. I said, Tony, just because you're famous doesn't mean you can pull this thing off. These things are not easy, you know?
Yeah.
So one thing led to another. A team of investors came along, and I met Eldon, the president of Urban Space, who was tasked to help set up and operate. He needed me to curate the whole thing.
Absolutely. I mean, you should. You're the guy for that.
But I needed folks here who are specialists on the ground. So we met, and then the next thing you know, Tony left us. And in 2020, Tony left in 2018. In about 2020, Singapore received a UNESCO award for our hawker culture through a bit of my egging, and recommendations. And this is when I called up Eldon Scott of Urban Space and said, we gotta do this. This is the best time to strike. But it was in the middle of COVID. It took a little time for us to put the whole thing together. And then here we are today.
So basically from 2020 to 2022, you were getting this place open. It happened in about 2 years. I mean, the idea existed before, but it really took about a year and a half, 2 years?
Yeah. Thanks to COVID or no thanks to COVID. But this is not a full Bourdain's idea. Bourdain wanted a 100-stall food hall at Pier 57 with world hawkers. Here we specialize in Singapore because of the UNESCO angle.
I mean, what you've created is absolutely amazing. And to think that you've got this done in a year and a half during the pandemic is an incredible feat. And so then you handpicked all of these people from Singapore?
Some of them picked me, but I had to make sure that the food here is a cross-section of the Singapore diaspora. Malay, Chinese, Indian, Nonya and Western Hainan food. And we've got halal fare too, so it's a good representation. It's a cross-section of the flavors that we have in Singapore.
That's what I love. They're all different, they're all very specific. I've been here quite a few times now, and I've been to 6 different stalls, so I'm slowly working my way through all of them. But I have to say that everyone is so unique, and all of the chefs are so amazing. I love hearing their stories, and the food is just so damn good.
And the range, as some people say, what is Singapore food? If you haven't been to the hawker centers in Singapore, you don't have that mojo about Singapore. It's very hard to explain,
Yeah.
So if we got cuisines that are influenced from so many regions, migrant fare. But in the course of that migrant food culture, there was a confluence of flavor that gave birth to a third flavor, and that we call our own laksa, chicken rice, stuff we call our own char kway teow.
So I know Singapore has a lot of national dishes, but what is your favorite comfort food? Just something you could eat all the time. Do you have a favorite?
A trick question must always come with a trick answer. Depends on which side of the bed I wake on.
Right.
What wake up on, what temperature it is.
Right, your mood.
And did my wife give me a headache the last night before? So it depends. Anything from roti, paratha, to mee rebus, to chicken rice, to hey, I may wake up and have a yearning for chili crabs.
So all of it. You love all of it.
It's politically correct. Ha ha ha. But it's true.
Do you cook?
It is true. I do.
You
but
do?
I don't style myself. I correct some of their recipes. I teach some of the hawkers here. Refine and they are doing better now because I can see the fault. Sometimes the hawkers come here, they try to please the local palate. I say, don't.
Don't do that.
Please your grandmother. Don't please. When they come here, they want to eat what your grandmother ate. When you tell them, this is what my grandmother, and they eat, wow, your grandmother loves you. Don't try to foreignize your food.
I love that. Because we want the real deal. So speaking of things that resonate with me that I can't stop thinking about, I had the chili crab here at Walk and Staple from Chris, but today we get to do the
black pepper crab.
Black pepper crab.
The other version of the crab, right? Which is one of the favorites in Singapore too. It's very popular.
So while Chris is making our pepper crab, obviously you're the biggest champion of food from Singapore, but what do you think about food in New York? What's your favorite thing?
Oh gosh, where do I start? I haven't lived here long enough to tell you what I really like, but when I go to a country, I eat your food. Don't you know what's truly American beyond your pizzas, your burgers and your pastas, and I want to find out. I want to go to the great valleys or Katz's.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not about how good it is. Good and bad is always subjective.
Right.
But the culture is not.
Right.
How the food came about, the traditional little Jewish stuff.
Katz's is a vibe for sure. Yeah.
How America messed up the world's food and call it their own. I want to find out.
So egocentric, us Americans.
I want to find out because something must be right about that. So I'm checking out as I go along. I haven't gone farther enough out of New York to the outpost to find out more, but that is an ongoing answer that I'll have
Do you
to
have a
give
favorite bagel place?
No, I've tried a few bagels here and there. I've not tried Ross and Daughters.
Okay.
How's that? Okay.
Russ and Daughters is good. I'll tell you my favorite bagel place. Well, I'll just say it on camera because who cares? Because I want to show them some love.
True.
Absolute
Just say what's
Bagels.
True. Absolute. Yes, I heard about that one.
Absolute. It's on the Upper West Side, and it's owned by a Thai couple. And I know it's crazy, and the bagels are amazing, and the line. Don't let it deter you. It moves very fast. Cash only.
That's what I think. Anybody can cook anybody's food. So as long as you have an affinity, you have a soul for that food, you can do it very, very well. One of the best French chefs in Asia is an Indian.
Wow.
Yeah, Gagan. You can Google
Oh yes,
him.
of course.
Gagan, you know
I
him.
know of him. Yes.
And what bagel by a Thai. I've also tried what's that pizza? Uno pizza. Out behind Katz's,
Okay.
way out there.
Oh
They use
yes, the
sourdough.
Uno Pizza Napolitano. Yes.
Wow! First time I ate it, this has gotta be one of the best. And we started googling. Yeah, it is one of the top rated in every top 10 pizza list here. So yeah, I'm discovering as I go along.
Lindustry in Williamsburg is also great pizza.
And of
Get
course,
over there.
you gotta go and cut into a nice Peter Luger's steak. That is like a bucket list you must do. Whether it's good or not, but you're eating a legend.
Yes.
There are better as great steaks around.
Have you been to Keen's? Because that is also legendary.
Keen is also legendary.
Oh,
I've been there.
love
Yeah.
Keen's.
So I've done my American
I love
food.
this.
I've been
we
around.
need to go eat. We should go to Keen's together.
We should.
Have some steak
Yeah.
and a martini. No? What do you drink? What do you drink?
martini.
Yes.
Whiskey too.
Whiskey. Whatever you want.
This is black pepper crab. It's a whole Dungeness first deep fried until the flavors are locked in, and then it tosses it in this very dangerous black pepper sauce that's got, I don't know what he puts in there. I think it's got a little bit of wine, maybe oyster sauce, and grounded pepper, and what else? Am I on track?
Right.
Onions and all that
Yeah,
blended
onions.
in there, that paste, and
Butter.
yeah, butter. Yeah. The French says you gotta have butter, so he puts butter in there. It looks horrible, but you know, some of the best dishes in the world looks horrible. Take a look at that.
Hi, Lala.
Oh my! Hang on! I gotta record. I gotta record this for history. Hold on. This looks so ugly. It's very difficult to photograph a man.
Oh, that is
You need to move
gorgeous.
yourself.
Yeah, just light down this way. Just push it this way so I can see. Oh,
We're getting
yeah.
content on content over here. Look at this.
Why wouldn't anybody like?
You want me to
like
hold
this?
that for you?
It's alright. It's alright.
My favorite part, bibbing up, you know? Because I think if you've watched me eat before, those of you at home, you know I'm not a delicate eater. I like to get in there. Would you like?
I don't need
no?
this. I'm good at this.
I'm gonna take my rings off. I'm getting in here. Last time I wore gloves, not this time. Not this time,
No,
Seetoh.
this time for me, when we eat something like this, my gloves are off.
Yeah.
Gloves are
The
off.
gloves come off. I gotta pull my hair back.
Let's get into action.
All right. Thank you, Crab, for your service.
Thank you for the pleasure you're supposed to give us. I'll see you in heaven one fine day, and I'll say thank you again. Thank you very much.
Yes. All right. Let's get in there.
Okay.
All right.
Now, where would you think I would start first? Me being a pepper crab expert, which part?
Just licking my fingers and getting that sauce to
Wow.
start.
The sauce is very important.
Oh, the
For
sauce.
me, the first part I'll go for is
Inside. I like that
all
technique.
the, I don't know what you call this, the crab fat, if you must.
It is the crab fat, the mustard, the guts, the good stuff. I'll follow your lead. Let's stir it up.
Cut that piece in.
Oh yeah.
This one.
Oh my goodness. Do not ignore what's in the shell, people.
I know of people around the world that throw this part away. What a waste. What lousy foodies are you?
It's so special. The way that melts in your mouth. Perfect. All right, now let's get into the slightly messier part, yeah?
I like the drumsticks.
Same. I like how you just crunch right through it. I'm a little more delicate, but maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should just follow your lead.
Bite around the little bone or shells.
So, crab in Singapore, national dish. Is this something that people would eat every day? Is this a special occasion dish? Tell me about it.
And this is what I told Bourdain when we first had a crab date. Why do you talk so much when there's food on the table?
Well,
My mother always told me, you never know where your next dish is coming from. So eat first and talk later.
unfortunately, we're doing like a show here, so we do have to talk a little because people just watching us eat isn't as exciting. I mean, it's exciting for us.
Okay, I'll talk and eat at the same time. What's the
You
question
know what?
here?
You eat. Let me talk to Chef Chris. Wait, what kind of pepper do you use in this crab?
Grounded pepper,
Black pepper.
black pepper, grounded black pepper. Right, medium grind.
I'm speechless. For once, I'm speechless.
Today's crab is exceptionally good. This Dungeness,
Sweet.
it's firm.
Yeah, and
it's
it's
not
not-
the watery little diet kind of crab. And,
So,
And the pepper you won't mask off the freshness of the crab, the
So-
sweetness of
in Singapore, is this a dish that you would eat every day, or is this a special occasion dish, or what?
pretty
like-
regular.
Oh, weekend.
Weekend
They
with,
dirty up, they take their time to eat.
with beer, you know, crab.
Yeah, and it's not seasonal. It's available all the time.
Yeah, it's a good way to chill, you know, with friends. You talk, we have a beer over the crab, you start cracking the crab, you know.
Right.
Right.
Because it is labor intensive. Like we're all sitting here cracking through the shell, licking our fingers. I wish we had beer.
Yeah, we do have beer.
It's a very good beer food.
It's actually perfect beer food. It's kind of amazing because Americans feel like a big crab is like a special thing. We don't really let ourselves have this all the time. You guys really know how to eat. You really know how to do it.
Eat a dish like chili crab or pepper crab. You can only have it with friends. You know, friends who love you for who you are, no matter what you do. You dirty up.
They don't care if you get messy?
They say, yeah, we're friends, you know. But if you're a first date,
I actually think that ordering pepper crab or chili crab on a first date is a good idea. Because for me, this weeds out a lot of guys. If they're not about this, bye-bye. I don't want them.
in short, date Lala. If you're having pepper crabs or chili crabs.
I'll take you to all the best spots.
Blah, blah.
We're going to continue eating. But thank you, Chef Chris, so much
No worries, my pleasure.
again for treating me to the best food ever. Thank you, Seetoh.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure getting to know you.
Pleasure.
You're the coolest, and thank you for everything that you've done and what you've contributed to the food scene here in New York.
She's so sweet.
Oh, we're
She's diabetic.
She's so sweet, she's diabetic. Get out of here. We're lucky to have you. Thank you.
Me too. Lucky
For
to be here.
Flavors of New York. I'm Lala. This is Seetoh. That's Chris. We'll see you next time. Bye.